Okay guys, this is how you remove the charcoal canister from the Predator 3500. As you can see, I've already removed the two bolts up top here. They go right here, if you can see that. I removed the bottom hose first on the left side so I can remove it. You'll finish taking off this clamp. It is a little bit difficult to do. That clamp, I've been trying to get it off here for a few minutes, but I will. And then, where you're going to want to cap is right here. There's the tank. You're going to want to unclamp that, because that's the vent for the gas tank. You're going to want to put a rubber cap on that. I did that last time. This one is a replacement because my starter didn't like to run. So this is brand new. And you already... so I'm doing this modification first. That way it can run how it's supposed to from the beginning. Okay guys, again, here's the... removing the hose. I still haven't taken this part off, as I just showed you. But when the canister is up... not sure if you can see that, but when the canister is up, that big fat hose comes around to the air intake right here. I've already done that one, and you're going to want to put another big cap. I believe the big cap from the set, it's Dorman 47396. I'll put a link in the description. But that's where the big one goes. You're going to want to cap that off and try to get that little spring back on there. And the same thing with the one over here. There we go. That is the bottom of the tank. That's the... you're going to want to try to get that clamp, but last time I remember those rubber things were on there pretty damn good. You might want to remove the whole airbox, which is held on by a few screws here. One on the back. It might give you a little extra room to work, but it's still a tight fit, and in my opinion very much worth it, because my other generator ran for over 2,000 hours. I had 2,054 when I returned it, and I had got it Memorial Day weekend of 2018. So that was just that was 15 months ago, a little over a year ago. I put over 2,000 miles on this sucker, and the last one, and it ran perfect, and all I did was basically change the oil every 100 hours. Alright, let me get back to work. I'll be back with you. Alright guys, you can see me working on the Predator. Get my truck name off the thing, but here's what you're going to use. Here's the caps. They're made by Dorman 47396. There's an assortment. They're different sizes, and yeah, we're gonna put those here on that little nipple, and then one on the fuel tank. Now, I finally got that off and pulled it down through here. Mind you, I did rip that rubber, but in case you want this clip, but it's kind of out of the way. I might take this whole thing out, I don't know, but it's a little bit of pain to get in there. That rubber's on there pretty good. Last one I don't remember it was on so good, but yeah, this is all part of capping that line, removing the charcoal filter so it's not blowing, sucking, or pushing gas vapors unmetered to the carb. That's why it's going to run rich. This also allows you to fill the fuel tank straight up to the brim. Mind you, on my other one, I had knocked this out with the fuel can because it's a 5-gallon thing. The nozzle went boom, real hard, knocked that into the tank. But then it allowed me to see where the fuel was, and I would do it all the way to the top as it was full. Mind you, I don't know what this looks like. I guess there is a fuel level, but I had mine all the way to the threads, all the way here, and then I would put my gas cap on just ever so slightly, so that way it's vented. You can buy vented caps, you can make a vented cap. I'm kind of kicking myself now for not keeping the cap from the one I returned, because had I done that, I could have made an extended run tank, which I really wanted to do, because I need this to last me at least 10 hours a night in the truck. Yeah. Okay guys, since I got that hose off, and it's now time to put one of the plugs on there. I have started using an extension, socket extension, and that is a 1/2 inch, socket. I put the rubber end cap on the top of it, and now you probably can't see that because of the video. It's black on black on black. Stupid camera, but I use that to push it on initially, because doing it this way is very difficult, if I can remember, and this makes it much simpler to try to get it on there. Now it's semi-wet on, and I'm going to have to push. But that's pretty much how you get that one on. And this big one, I believe, goes here. And maybe you could get a clamp around that, maybe not. Oh, see, it slid right on. Now, there is a forum, a power generator, something. I'll have to put a link in the description. But there was a little tutorial. Some guy detailed it with written instructions on how to do it, and I forget if he said the big one goes here and the second smaller one, second biggest one, goes there. They're kind of easy to tell in this pack. The camera probably makes it look bigger, but once you have it in front of you, you'll be able to tell. This one's the biggest one. This goes on here. That one probably have to be clamped. I could probably get a clamp around that one. That shouldn't be so bad. I will have to use pliers. I don't have needle nose pliers, which would be nice. I just have this adjustable thing here. But I'm going to keep working and getting on that plugged. Remember, this is a brand new Predator 3500. It has never been run. There are 0 hours on it. In case you're curious, that's the spark plug. I already replaced the spark plug here. Pain in the butt to get out, but I replaced that with from AutoZone. Autolite 63s. It's what I used last time. Yep, Autolite 63. It's what I used last time, and I changed it twice. I had 2 spark plugs in there for nearly 1,000 hours each, and they just looked used, not burnt, not worn. They were probably still all right. Now, since this is a brand new generator, you're going to want to change the plug. The plug they give you, well, at least came out of here, is the one that the F7, whatever the code is that is specified in the manual. The one I just took it out. It is a Bosch. It says Bosch on there, but I still took it out and I put in to replace it. You can go to your auto parts store, give them the F7 code. They'll have a cross-reference list. A lot of people use NGK. My last generator I used an Autolite 63, which is a cross-reference one, just because that's the only one that the auto parts store had. And it's a direct fit, and let me tell you, it ran wonders. I had probably 800 hours on the first one, and then I changed it because the maintenance light came on. Figured, okay, it has a little over 1,000 hours, time to change the oil. I'll change the spark plug. That spark plug was fine, got rid of it anyways. The other one, the rest of the time, ran over 1,000 hours on the second Autolite 63. Never a problem, never. You're going to want to check your gap. Go to the auto parts store. Don't forget that little, sizing spark plug gap little coin. I know I have one somewhere, but I forgot where I put it. So I'm going to have to find that. But make sure it's gapped. From my experience, they usually come gapped pretty well to the tolerances specified in the manual, but it's always in your best interest to check it out. Maybe it's a little bit big, maybe it's a little bit too short, and then you might want to put it to where you want it. If you want to put it in the middle of the specs, I suppose you could bend it out a little bit. I know you're not supposed to do that really, but you're still going to want to check that spark plug gap because that's important. Alright guys, well, looks like I got that cap on there. If the camera can focus, what I did was, I told you I used a 1/2-inch socket to get it kind of on there. It's still at an angle using that socket extension, and now I've gone to something smaller so that it wouldn't fit inside the actual socket bit here. Went down to 7/16. Not that it matters, just something smaller. That way you can kind of push up on the end of it, and that's on there. I am having a difficult time getting that little clamp to fix on there. Last time I did this, that was on there pretty tight. I checked it a couple times after I started using it, and I just left it. Never had a problem. So that one's on there. I'm going to clamp this one. This one's a little bit loose. Not that you'll probably have a problem because it's going to be sucking in, but I suppose you could always check to see your air filters too. And what that's doing, I know this is new. Check what you can. I'm pretty sure there's not oil in it, but I'll get to that soon. Well guys, I'm doing this all on a cell phone, so sorry if it's shaky. But I can't work and hold the phone. I don't have that big of a mouth. But maybe one of these days I'll get another camera and set it up like other people do. But I was able to slip this clamp that was on this hose from the canister is now slipped on here, and I used these to squeeze that clamp and slide it on there. So that's going to be on there pretty good. That one should be good by itself. It's on there pretty good. I know some people will be like, oh, you need to clamp it, but you know what, it worked last time. And if you want to clamp it, go ahead. I would. The clamp that was on the hose before, I think is just the exact size, and I can't squeeze it enough to have it slide on. So on to filling this sucker with oil. Yeah. Oh, speaking of oil, I did dump a little bit of oil in here for the break-in because there's nothing in there. Mind you, I believe there's a trace of oil from the factory, but you still have to add oil, so we're going to get to that now. Okay guys, I got it filled with oil. It's not that difficult. I will show you this, however that shows up. That is 0 hours. I did plug in the battery, goes there. That's pretty simple. I suppose you could look it up on YouTube if you really need to figure out how to do that. It's kind of self-explanatory. I already did that, so that's not going to be on the video. I'm going to fill this sucker up with fuel, and I'm going to pump it. I'm going to pull it. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to pull the handle a couple times, very slowly, try to get the oil primed up there, and I'm going to start it. Actually, first what I'm going to do, for my own personal preference, is I'm taking the spark arrestor off because that thing gets gunked up pretty good. This is brand new. It's going to spit out a whole bunch of smoke or carbon. Plus, I think it, I like it free flowing. People are going to say, oh, well, if you go camping, maybe you can't do that. Well, you can't, I can. I take it off. It's a little bit louder, but I think it runs better. I had it off for about the last 1,500 hours on the other one because I was sick of cleaning that little speck of wire mesh that is a spark arrestor. And yeah, you know, those are two 8mm bolts to take that off. Yeah, so let me get my fuel in here, take that spark arrestor off, and fire this sucker up for the first time, let it run for a little bit. That way I can go inside of the AC at my hotel here and cool down, get something to drink. Mind you, later you're going to see this tied to the frame of my truck. You know, I got a cable that runs through it, that way no one can steal my shit. Pardon my French, but steal my stuff, because, well, yeah. So that was available at Harbor Freight too if you need to secure it, decent lock. And then I just kind of run back and forth with it, you know, here, loop it around, and it works perfectly. I still have it in the truck, and I'll get that going. I'll be back. Okay guys, I just took out the spark arrestor. Some of you guys are going to hate me, some of you might love me. But I take that sucker out. This is not as lined up as the other one was. That one was straighter. That weld looks really crappy, but whatever. Spark arrestor is this. This is what's inside of it. You have to pull that out. That gets all nice and black. And this is a brand new spark arrestor. Really freaking shiny, really clean. I probably have my old one, and that's, you know, scrubbing that with a wire brush all the time. You never get it clean. You should probably just replace it. This you can get clean pretty much. It's still kind of coated. The wire mesh is coated on black from the carbon from the exhaust, but you clean out the screen, and then after 50, 60, 70 hours it's clogged again. So I just leave it out. I think it runs better. I'm doing everything I had with my other one. You know, all the little, I guess you call them modifications, but all it is dismantling that stupid carbon thing, because it makes it run rich. It runs rich to begin with. Mind you, I did buy mine at the Harbor Freight in Brighton, Colorado by Denver. So, you know, it was probably, they said it might have been jetted for a higher elevation to begin with. I don't know, but it did run fine there and everywhere else I've been. Okay, I'm gonna get this thing fueled up and fired up, and yeah. Okay, I'm yelling. I don't know if the sound quality is good, but as you can see, it has started. I did pull it a couple times, maybe very gently, let it kind of go through one stroke. There was a little bit of oil, remember, in the head, because when I took out the spark plug to replace it, and then you can hear it. It's really not that loud. I'm not sure what the sound on this stupid phone picks up, but you can see it's smoking pretty good. You know, it's only been running for 5 minutes, but that's fresh oil, brand new spark plug, replaced their spark plug with something better, and well, I do have the fuel that open because I wanted to open up the bottom vent, but you know, no oil leaks, and you know, I think you know, this is, you know, it's first running. It doesn't have anything to do the exhaust, so it's coming. It's not going to clog up the spark arrestor now because it's gone. I mean, I removed it and still have it, but you know, I figure, you know, it's not going to sputter when it has that run rich thing, because this is basically what it did before. It never smoked for me before. There was black smoke when I first got it a couple times. The sputter might have died. I might have reset it. It might have been too hot because it was sitting in direct sunlight out in Denver, 90 degrees, but it was also probably running too rich. Mind you, I was also at 5,400 feet in elevation, but I think it was still running too rich then. Now, I'm probably at 800 to 1,000 feet in elevation, probably 400 to 1,000, and that charcoal canister is gone, so it's not feeding that fuel vapor straight into the intake and clogging, you know, to make it run rich, because it goes straight to the carb unmetered, doesn't add extra air to cover it. I might have noticed one extra different hole in the head of the engine. Maybe I just didn't notice it in my other one, but then again, this is its first time running. I'm going to clean up my stuff a little bit, come back in an hour, go cool down, get something to drink. And if you notice, that multimeter I bought, the AutoZone, was before I picked up some supplies, mainly for my truck. I tested the battery before I installed it. It was at 12.75, which basically is a full charged battery for this sucker. One of these times they will make a video, or try to remember, take that sucker out and test the voltage of the battery while it's running to see if it actually charges. I never had a real issue with that battery on my other one, but I think it was the starter or a wire jiggled loose, and you can't really get in there without taking off the other panel, which you're going to break something, and then you're really going to void a warranty. Mind you, I don't think they care if you came in and purchased it and they saw on your receipt that you purchased the warranty and all that. So this is the replacement, and I bought another 2-year warranty. So I'll be back. Alright guys, it's been running for probably an hour and a half-ish. We're checked at now. Hour and 16 minutes to be exact. Yeah, so we are gonna turn it off and change the oil. As you can see, I've put my securement lock on, like I said. And yeah, typically I only change the oil in this thing by opening this up using a socket extension, which a lot of people paint through and don't use. But my socket extension works quite wonderfully to get in there and use a 10mm bolt. I do have a little platform that I also got at Harbor Freight that I've used in the past. But today I think I'll still use it. However, I wanted to cut a hole in the little platform. It's a step stool, so I could just put a drain jug underneath it and open up this little rubber stopper in the back underneath, you know, because they designed it perfectly to drain the oil out. It's just that you know, you got to put it on something so that, you know, it's elevated. I've used paint trays from Walmart, the real cheap paint tray liners, stuck it underneath there, and then to drain, you know, pour it out was a mess. In the past, once I used a little stool, or whatever you want to call it, in the winter time specifically, I would change the oil and use an empty anti-gel bucket or container, and it was the perfect size. And I figured there's 64-ounce bottles, and you change the oil 3 times and then it's full. So anywho, I will get this all set up for you, show you how I change the oil and what it looks like. Okay guys, if you notice this little stool here, that's from Harbor Freight, about 20 bucks. And what I've just done off camera, using some power tools, not from Harbor Freight, no, that's the impact, that's for screws, but I drilled some holes in the little floor there of the stool, and this thing makes the perfect drain hole thing. You know, drain hole for the drain hole. And I just bought this, oh, what is this? 12-quart recycling can. figured, okay, it's probably easier, slide it down. What I was doing was sliding this forward, leaning it, and sticking a bottle of empty anti-gel that came up right here. Sometimes I'd spill, not usually. I had it down to a science. I just figured this is cheap, easier. Slide that underneath there, and when we're pretty much good to go now. I've already loosened up the dipstick, and what I see a lot of people struggling with when they do videos for the oil, you're going to want your 10mm socket. This is from Harbor Freight because my 10mm socket I got shredded from doing so many oil changes. I did 21 or 24 oil changes on the life of my other one, so that kind of broke this. So I bought this about a week or so ago when I was parked somewhere at a truck stop in Pennsylvania, and there's a Harbor Freight right next door. So anywho, but I have a 10-inch extension which I bought at Home Depot or something. Probably use a little shorter, but look at that. You could turn the whole wrench right in your hand. I'm doing this one-handed. Okay, I'm going to probably need another hand, but okay, I will. But look, you don't get the wrench stuck in here, which I did the first time when I changed the oil. Oh, it's okay. You don't get the range of motion. You get this, boom, you know, you could turn it, boom, boom, boom. Oil thing is done. Just my suggestion. Mind you, I have taken off the whole cover just to see if I'm leaking fuel from up there on that cap. No, but I am venting fuel or something from this. I'm not sure what that's from. Maybe it's from the float of the bowl on the carburetor. That's a new one for me. They possibly must have updated this design slightly. I don't know. But yeah, I will start this oil bolt drain plug so I can drain the oil and continue on my merry way of breaking this sucker in. Okay, I've broken the nut, the plug, and now we're going to loosen. I've never done videos before, so bear with me here. But I figure everyone needs to know what they're getting themselves into. I know what I'm getting myself into. I've used mine for 2,100 hours, and I just need a new one. It's a little worn out, too much vibrations, I think. Remember, I already undid the drain bolt, or the dipstick. So, and this engine is hot, so be careful. I don't want to lose that plug, because there's no cover on that. Oh God, that's pretty hot. And apparently I did not do this correctly because I'm leaking oil everywhere. So, but that oil's flowing pretty good. And I did not cut that hole in the right place. Or for whatever reason it's draining like it's never drained before. I have to go. Okay guys, sorry for my little mishap, but you can please laugh at me. That's a little hole I try to cut out. Turns out the oil wanted to come here. I've never had it flow so easily. Mind you, that's brand new synthetic oil. And it was hot. I had just turned it off. So maybe that's a good sign it drained that fast. But you can see draining oil in this sucker's pretty quick. I've probably done it in 20 minutes and got it back up and running. Now I'm going to reposition the generator here so I can fill it. And I'm going to be leaning it against my truck, so backwards. And then I'll try to film me filling it with my graduated cylinder, if you want to call it. But it's a measured funnel. And yeah, that way I can close it up, leave it at an angle, and it will be good. I'm putting exactly 20 ounces of oil in there. This, when I filled it this time, there was a little bit more. Figures the first run, give it some more. It came out pretty clean, as you can see from these paper towels, but I suppose the little article I read was older generators to run for an hour and change the oil, or I suppose it's for the big ones that are in the metal frames from Harbor Freight, where you got to change the oil every 20 hours, so maybe they use the oil more. But I might let this run for a couple hours or so and actually run under a small load. That way it breaks in maybe a little faster. I know I want this to last a while, but that oil looked pretty damn clean. So we'll see. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright guys, well, I have it tilted up against the doorsteps to my truck here. As you can see, my truck's kind of big. So what I'm going to do is tilt it back. That way the oil is more vertical. I know it's going to hit the other side of the engine, but it's not going to drip out. Give it 20 ounces of oil, close it up shop, seal it up, put it back down. Maybe pull the, not the rip cord, you know, the pull start. Let it slowly while it's off and whatever. I will remind you there is fuel in here, so hopefully that's not leaking out, but I have sealed the caps. Typically I don't keep it in this position ever, but I'll hurry up and get this done. Okay people, this is the measuring cup. I can get to 20 ounces, if you can see that. I can't. 20 ounces. Like I said, I'm going to use that stick so it gets nice and deep in there. And if I could figure out a way to hold this phone. I'll be right back. This will be full. Holding it level, it's pretty much at 20 ounces. Open the valve. And then we got oil. That's why this bucket here is so helpful. Dump that. It's soaking in that whatever. Soaking in paper towels. We can put this dipstick back in. Make sure that's tight. Give it a little bit of a nice little coax. Oh, and there we go. I also realized why the flow of the oil on my little tray here didn't work so well. If you could tell, I'm sloping slightly that way. So, had I drained it going that way or that way, it might have been a little bit better. But try to do stuff on flat ground, you won't have problems like I did. Basically clean up, and I'm going to start this sucker back up. Let me clean my hands. Alright guys, well, changed the oil and I used the electric start this time. That started right up, but before I pulled the handle a little bit, felt it start to get hard to pull, and I knew it was on a compression stroke, so I just started it with the electric start. Started back up, and I think I'm going to give this sucker a load because I think it needs it, and my truck is actually very hot because it's probably about 90 degrees or 80, and it's humid. Not that I need to go in my, use my truck, but I think this thing needs a bit of a load. And I know my thing only uses my portable AC unit, which I'll hopefully cover in another video, and you could be like, oh, pork chop, that's pretty neat, or that doesn't work very well. It works pretty good in the truck, mind you. I think in Phoenix, if I was in Phoenix in the summertime, it doesn't work very well, or it works to a point, but that sun is hot. And yeah, and also the AC doesn't work in my truck, so I'm going to try to see if I can fix that here, and it'd be nice and cool inside. Plug my battery charger in, and I'll show you that beefy thing. But anyways, this really is about the generator, but that's what the load's going to be. It's probably about 1500 watts. I know they say don't use too much or use 500 watts or whatever, but a generator's not supposed to sit here idling. It's supposed to be given something. Battery charger will probably use about 350 watts. It usually does 300 to 350. It's a 26 amp battery charger, 12 volt. I'll do a video on that one time, but generators are meant to have a load on them. If they just sit there idle, they don't. It does get hot, but it doesn't necessarily do, get the wear and tear it's supposed to. I believe the last time I did it, I turned it on because I was excited to turn on that portable AC unit. Maybe I'll send a picture and show you how I had it rigged up, which was pretty bad. It actually made the front part of the truck real hot because of the exhaust tube, but yeah. Well, it's going to be a couple hours probably this time. The oil looked pretty clean. Give it something to, wear in a little bit with a load. So, I'll be back. I'll show you how long it ran for. Alright guys, we're trying this from a different angle, and I cut the hole bigger, so hopefully this one doesn't plop out. Mind you, I already dropped the socket into the oil bucket, but yeah. This is changing the oil after running the, what do you call it? My 1200, 1300 watt air conditioner. Now the drain dipstick is still in there. I never unscrewed that. That might help us. So far, not such a big mess. So I think that's better. Oil's a little murky. That's one thing, I guess, using the paint trays, paint liners from Walmart that are cheap. You get to kind of see the color of the oil. This is only 2 hours running, almost a half a load on the generator. Well, I guess that was open a little bit. But there's your oil. We'll fill it up again. And yeah, let it run. This one, the manual on this thing says, break-in's done around 11 or 30 hours. So I mean, I can let it run just overnight, or just run by itself, but you know, I kind of want to use it for other things, but I think I might just change the oil now and just let it run, and then once it gets to about 30 hours or whatever, change it again, and I'll say break-in's complete. The oil's looking pretty good. Last time I did the break-in, I actually let it run for 24 hours, 25 hours. Mind you, I had that running rich problem with the canister still going. So, you know, this oil looks a lot better. It hasn't been in this nearly as long as the other stuff I had left in it when on my first one. That was pretty black. So, I expect this is getting kind of some of the nasty beginning stuff out. So, you know, that's oil changes pretty much on a Predator 3500. I still don't think I filled the fuel tank all the way up past the vent tube, though I did take off that plastic little filter thing because I'm bound to break it. The other one's stuck in the other tank. I just pulled it. That way I can actually see how much fuel I'm putting in there like I'm used to. And I don't have to worry about it hitting that thing and spraying all over. Your mileage may vary, but that's just my opinion from my experience. It's better to do it that way. Alright, well, thanks for joining me. I know everyone's put a YouTube video, after 20 hours, 50 hours, and going, you know, I'd have 30 videos on all the oil changes I would have done. It's too bad I didn't start this on my other one. I thought about it, but no, this is documenting from day one what this sucker's gonna do. Hope all you guys have a good night, and hopefully I haven't bored you too much. Stay safe out there, and see you later. Bye.